Hey everybody, it's Chase with AV Pop Culture again, and today we are thinking about winter time. We are smack dab in the middle of winter, and in fact, there's even snow in the forecast as far south as down here in my neck of the woods in the Atlanta, Georgia area, and it got me thinking about all those cozy, snowy vibe movies that are just perfect for wintertime watching, and I have 10 of them today that I highly recommend. So pop that tape in. I got you. Let's go do this. All right, so 10 wintertime vibe movies for those snowed in days. You're watching the snow fall outside your window. You're cozy inside. You pop on some wintertime movies that are just filled with snow, people bundled up, jackets, all that, the whole vibe. You want it all. I have it right here with my 10 movies, and we're going to jump right into it with a movie that was actually made for TV in 1999. I am talking about Stephen King's Storm of the Century. Now, as I said, this is a Stephen King movie, but this was actually one that was not based upon a book. So that's sort of rare. He wrote this script directly for the screen, and it centers around a small, almost like island town, isolated town in the Maine area. A lot of his stuff is set in Maine, and this is no different. And it stars Tim Daly as Constable. I believe his name is Mike Anderson. So he's like the local sheriff. And this town is preparing for the blizzard of the century. That's what the storm is. I mean, it is big time snow and it is coming. Everyone's preparing. They're trying to get food, trying to batten down the hatches because they may not be able to get in or out for a while. So they're all going to be stuck in here together. The problem is, it's not just snow that's coming to town. There's an evil that's coming to town in the form of this mysterious sort of eternal creature slash man that we really don't have all the information on, except for he goes by the name of Andre Lenoge, and he wants what he wants, and he promises if the town gives him what he wants, he will go away. But in the meantime, as long as they deny him what he wants, and they're trying to even figure out what he wants, he is bringing down evil upon them, deaths, murders, and he is revealing all of the seedy underbelly secrets of this town and everyone in it, turning them against each other. And what he wants is really the most unspeakable thing that he wants. There's a lot of mystery here. There's that small town creepy vibes, and there is snow aplenty. It is blizzard full, everyone in full jackets, hunkering down. It gives you all you want from a little supernatural, creepy, spooky, small town vibes in the wintertime, all the snow. Perfect snowy vibes here for Storm of the Century. You got to check it out. Perfect wintertime watching. All right, next on the list is one that I actually don't have on physical media. I need to grab it because it is really, really good. I'm talking about 2015's We Are Still Here. Now, this combines a couple of my favorite genres of horror, in addition to starring the beautiful Barbara Crampton, who I have a thing with going way back. Her and a lot of other blonde movie stars, thanks to Elizabeth Shue. If you follow me, you've probably heard that story before. Let's just say Karate Kid made a mark on me. And not just for sweeping the leg. But it's from 2015, and it really has part of my favorite horror genres. It has the spooky, creepy, something underneath small town atmosphere vibes, and it has haunted house vibes, and it's all set against a very snowy background as Barbara Crampton, who plays Annie, and her husband Paul, they move to this small New England town after their teenage son is killed in a car wreck, and they think it's like this idyllic, rural setting, small town setting. But there is something under the surface, and the house that they move into is at the center of it. In fact, this house sort of wakes up ever so often, and without giving everything away, it wakes up ever so often, and it needs blood, new souls. And right now, Barbara Crampton and her husband, and maybe even the soul of the son that they lost, is at risk of being pulled to hell with the evil in this house. But I'm going to tell you, the snow and the setting, the winter setting, plays a huge part here to add into the isolation and despair and everything that goes into these vibes. This is a very good movie. It is one I definitely need to pick up on physical media. I've watched it twice here lately now for different lists, and it totally fits here. Great winter vibes, small town creepiness, haunted house. It's got it all for me, so make sure you check out We Are Still Here. Now, next up on the list, we are shifting gears pretty hard here to 1993's classic comedy. You got it. It's Groundhog Day all over again. The Bill Murray, Andy McDowell classic comedy, written and directed by the late Harold Ramis of Egon of Ghostbusters, Harold Ramis of National Lampoon's Vacation, on and on. Just super talented. And this movie, of course, if you've seen it, it takes place on Groundhog Day. So right here in the middle of wintertime, February the 2nd. And the whole movie is filled with snow, small town. Bill Murray, of course, gets stuck in a time loop. He is the weatherman sent to Pennsylvania to cover whether or not the groundhog sees his shadow. Up there, it's called Punxsutawney Phil. Actually, here in Georgia, we have one at the Yellow River Game Ranch that is General Lee, and he does the same thing. So the groundhog thing has become synonymous with repeating something over and over again, and that is largely thanks to this movie. And the performances here are great. Bill Murray has to learn. First, when he realizes he's stuck in this time loop, he goes through the gamut of living it up and then despair and maybe trying to take himself out. And then he realizes he has this opportunity to become a better man, a man worthy of loving himself and the love of his life, who just happens to be Andy McDowell. And the road, the arc that he goes on is poignant, but also absolutely hilarious, delivered in Bill Murray style. And of course, it's all set to a background of Groundhog Day, middle of winter, freezing cold. He's forecasting more and more snow. We're getting more and more snow. They get stuck in the town because of the snow. They were trying to beat out of town so much. Even the steelbook here, covered with snow. There's Punxsutawney Phil. There's Bill Murray. Snow all over it. 100% winter vibes. A little bit more lighthearted, a little bit fun, and fits the bill. So Groundhog Day comes in on our list. These aren't really ranked like from 1 to 10. These are just 10 recommendations that I highly recommend. I also highly recommend, if you are enjoying this video, to please like and subscribe. It really does help out the channel. It really, really does. I hate to ask that, but I have learned more and more from this YouTube that you got to gamify it. You got to play it. And if we want to spread this pop culture word, those are things that are important. But what else is important is the next stop on our list, which takes us to a recent Vinegar Syndrome release, a restoration that they did that I just watched. And this is 80s camp, cheese, blood, boobs, and in this case, snow. And I am talking about Blood Tracks. This is absolute fun cheese fest. This is from 1985, and it is about a film crew that is going to this out of the way, snowy ski town to film a music video. The town thinks it's a movie, but they're really going there to film a music video, which is fitting because the band is all there. You have these beautiful ladies who are there. You have the band who is there, and the background. And bless these people's hearts, This is a real on location shoot. It is absolutely frigid. It is snow everywhere you go. And a lot of these actresses and actors, but particularly the actresses, are out there in the actual snow and freezing cold in scantily clad outfits. And in some cases, nothing at all, including a scene where an actress and an actor get buried in a car under the big snow avalanche. Because, of course, there's a snow avalanche that cuts these people out from the outside even more. And now they have to deal with some very questionable locals, almost in the hills have eyes type situation. But they're buried in this car under the avalanche, and they have to be dug out buck naked and slide out the window across real snow. So if you can very well get cold watching this movie. Like, I feel the cold. Now, it's great watching the extra features here because definitely the people who were involved in this movie knew what they were getting into. They knew that it was just going to be a ridiculous blast. And when you get people that band together like that to make an independent film, I'm an independent filmmaker, that is so much fun. And it comes through on the film. Even if it's not like the greatest film ever, people having fun, it comes through. It makes memories for them. And it just adds that little something when you're watching the film that you feel it. And you know, if you're not getting paid a lot of money and you're having to stand out in actual really deep snow and frigid conditions, completely naked, slide your naked booty across the ground, all that kind of stuff, you had to be having fun. You had to love what you were doing. And this one is a fun ride. You know, it's not going to do any permanent damage. It's not going to be the height of art theater. But if you want a fun ride that captures all those winter vibes and literally makes you cold watching these people because you know they're going through it for real, then I highly recommend Blood Tracks. It is a lot of fun. Now, next up on our list, we go from not the height of theatrical, artistic filmmaking to one of, the most celebrated filmmakers that we have today. And I am talking about 2015's Quentin Tarantino classic, The Hateful Eight. You want to talk about snow vibes? Holy smokes, does this movie have snow vibes. You have a motley crew of characters who are traveling across Wyoming in the middle of a blizzard. The blizzard hits, and the only place that they can hang out and try to stay warm and survive this is this little out-of-the-way, cozy place known as Minnie's Haberdashery. And you have that motley crew in there. There's 8 of them. And among this great group of actors, you have Samuel L. Jackson, Jennifer Jason Leigh, and of course, my man Kurt Russell is in here. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. You have Walton Goggins. So many talented people in this. And boy, do you ever have snowy winter vibes in this movie. I'm talking about blizzard, whiteout conditions, snowy vibes. And it is spectacular to look at when they're showing, anytime these people have to go outside the haberdashery, anytime it shows flashbacks to them getting there, and you just see just blinding snow and these huge sweeping landscapes covered with snow. It makes you cold. It makes you want to kind of like subconsciously get back into that haberdashery and, get warm again. And these people in there, they all have their motives. They all have different things that brought them there, and those are uncovered. Will they all survive? What brought them there? Who's looking to get even with who? What is going to happen? There's sort of a multi-layered mystery there. Of course, it's violent. It's brutal. It has sizzling dialogue. Even though I love Tarantino dialogue, he gets a little in love with it sometimes. I love it all here. It can be rough at times, but it is filled with great acting and tons of snowy winter vibes. Cannot recommend Hateful Eight enough. I cannot wait until we get this film on 4K eventually. I cannot imagine anything being more stunning on 4K than The Hateful Eight. It is a must for snowy winter vibes. Now, the next one on the list is a classic. We can't argue with this one. It makes a lot of lists for a lot of people. It fits this list 100%. There is no question. I am talking about 1982 John Carpenter classic, The Thing. People will take shots. Oh, you have too many movies on different lists. Well, sometimes lists just fit the bill. And if I'm making a video every day, there's a chances are that some movies fit in really well with different types of lists. That is the case here. You are not going to get more snowy, frozen vibes than the Antarctic. I mean, it absolutely fits the bill. They are in the Antarctic. They are at their research station. We know this movie is filled with practical effects that have stood the test of time. Legendary acting from Kurt Russell. You have David Keith, y'all. If you follow me, you know I do it every time, and I love both of those guys. You have great acting in this film and a great sci-fi horror mystery that unfolds, and it's all set to the background of the constant, ever-present nature that is impending on them. Like the cold in the Antarctic is just as much a threat to them throughout this movie as the thing, as the monster itself, because they can't just go outside. They'll die. They can't just run from it and escape. They're in the Antarctic, in the snow, in the ice. They are isolated, and it has all of those vibes. And of course, that means that man is the warmest place to hide. You're going to get Kurt Russell, one of my favorite actors of all time, turning in an awesome performance as MacReady here. And he is, I mean, iconic. He's always bundled up, that big jacket with the fur on it, all that, his flamethrower cutting through there. It is an absolute classic. It is a must winter watch. Fits in perfectly on this list. John Carpenter's The Thing. All right, next up is another one that I don't have, and I am talking about 1990's Misery. Now, this is one that you maybe wouldn't have thought about right off the bat, but if you really think about it, it is absolutely filled with snow and isolation. And of course, you have James Caan starring as Paul Shield, the the writer. He's like supposed to be a famous writer in this movie, and he has a car accident, and he is saved by Kathy Bates's Annie Wilkes. And as he's recovering, and again, the snow plays a part here because she uses the snow and the sort of isolation of her house as he's recovering as an excuse for him not to be able to leave. He finds out that not only is the weather bad outside, but things are a whole lot worse inside. And he discovers as the snow piles up and the writing piles up that the capacity of Annie to dish out torture of crippling amounts also piles up. Anytime he does something that displeases her, he has to figure out a way to escape. Again, you have Rob Reiner as the director of this movie, which Rob Reiner mixed with Stephen King seems very odd, but it does work here. And this became one of the most iconic characters of Kathy Bates' career. So it's a very unsettling movie, but again, you have a writer, you have snow falling outside, and until things go off the rails, you have a little cozy winter vibe. Winter plays a big part, the snow plays a big part, and Kathy Bates' crazy ass plays an even bigger part. And Misery, can't recommend it enough. It's an absolute classic thriller and really a survival horror when you come to think about it. But Misery, perfect wintertime snowy vibe watching, comes in on our list. Now, the next one on our list is one that I do have, and I actually have watched it a couple times recently, and I plan to do a little bit deeper dive into it, so I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on it right now. But this movie was a blind buy for me that came highly recommended, and I'm going to pass on that high recommendation to you. I'm talking about 1998's A Simple Plan. Now, you want snowy vibes, winter vibes. It doesn't get much more than this. This movie stars Bill Paxton, Billy Bob Thornton, Bridget Fonda, and I was surprised I hadn't seen it because I am such a big Bill Paxton fan and always have been. This is also Sam Raimi directed, so it's kind of a different type of movie for him. You think of Sam Raimi, you think of Evil Dead, you think of Spider-Man, you think of all that stuff. But right here you have A Simple Plan, and this is a really good movie. out in the snow, these three guys, I don't want to spoil too much here. These three guys find a suitcase, briefcase, duffel bag full of money, and a lot of money. And then the choice becomes, how do they handle this now? Do they turn it in? Do they tell? Do they try to keep it for themselves? Where did this money come from? How is it connected? What kind of secrets will it force them to keep? And all of that plays into the story. And of course, the snow is a constant backdrop in this. I mean, if you can tell, you get those vibes just by looking at this new artwork by Arrow 100%. I think this actually captures it better than this here, but this is a really good release, a really nice 4K that has all of the snowy winter mystery kind of thriller vibes that you want. I actually heard about someone who said this movie isn't a thriller and more of a dark comedy. I don't see that at all. More of a mystery thriller that fits in perfect with snowy winter vibes. A Simple Plan is a high recommend. You can still grab this one pretty easy from Arrow with the slip. It's out there available right now. I highly recommend checking it out. All right, we have just a couple more left. And you know that I had to go with the all-time classic. It's another one I'm going to get, complaints that this is on too many lists. But hey, it absolutely fits here. It absolutely does. I am talking about The Shining. Now, this is the third. I didn't think about it till just now, but this is the third Stephen King adaptation that we've had on this list. He just does vibes really well, whether it is creepy small town atmosphere vibes, whether it is like snowy, like isolation vibes. He just does vibes really well. And if you guys follow me, you know that is a lot of what I'm about. The nostalgia, the vibes, the feeling, the connection of movies to put you in a whole mood attached to your memory and all that kind of stuff. And The Shining does that. Now, Stanley Kubrick changed quite a bit from the story, but the bones of the story are there. We're not here to talk about how well it stuck to the story, didn't stick to the story. We're talking about the vibes of this movie itself, and the vibes of this movie itself are 100% wintertime. Although every now and then I will get triggered by something in this movie where it talks about the 4th of July, and if you haven't seen it, I don't want to get too much into that. And it will make me think to watch it during the summer. And I don't know why, because it is an absolutely cold movie. Jack Nicholson and Shelley Duvall, outstanding performances in this. Of course, they take on the job of being caretakers of the Overlook Hotel. And they go, and it's over a 5-month long extended wintertime where they're going to be very isolated from the rest of the world and snowed in at deep amounts. And it's a very isolated, creepy existence. It's one of those things when you're in a place that is normally populated by a lot of people and now it's empty, that can be unsettling in itself. If you don't believe me, go into a hospital alone, an empty hospital alone at night, a empty library, anything like that is a school even, anything that is normally populated with lots of people. If it's empty, it becomes a little spooky, a little unsettling, because the life that is supposed to be there in those places inherently is gone. And those are vibes that Stanley Kubrick does a really good job of translating through with his shots, putting like Jack Nicholson in a small spot in wide angled shots in a scene. He'll put him sort of off to the side in the center so you feel all of this space. That is done deliberately to make you feel this cold isolation, this unsettling nature of being alone in this wide open space that is supposed to be so full of life and is now dead. And the outside winter, the snow that is coming down, the isolation, it just compounds those dead, dying, like winter, cold, lifeless feelings and vibes. And whether he stuck to the book directly or not, Kubrick captured those vibes and put it on celluloid in a way that is absolutely incredible and has stood the test of time. And I know how he shot it and with what lenses, those Zeiss super speeds at wide angles, putting them small, the characters small in big spaces, making it uncomfortable to watch, making you feel that cold and isolation outside. Absolutely perfect wintertime watching is The Shining. High recommend for this time of year. A nice slow burn. Let it settle in on you as the snow falls outside and you get all of those Kubrick and Stephen King vibes and a crazy, creepy performance by Jack Nicholson. And that brings us to the last one on our list, and it's actually one I don't have. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know if this has a physical media release here in the States or not. So if you know, because I did not have time to pull that before I checked on here, you let me know about 2014's, I was about to say 1980s, that is The Shining. 2014's Dark Was the Night. Now, there's actually a couple of movies that have this title, so don't get tripped up because I've managed to find the other one a lot. But this one stars Kevin Durand and Lucas Haas. And Kevin Durand, if you don't remember him, he was in the Wolverine movie. And he was also in, I'm trying to think of what else Kevin Durand has been in. Oh, he was in Abigail here recently, the big guy. Has a great performance in this movie as a small logging town sheriff. So this is another one of those where you have a small northwestern logging town and it is dead of winter, snow everywhere, and this logging company on their way out of town for the season cut down parts of a forest they were not supposed to go into, and they unleash an ancient evil. And I don't want to give too much away here, but now it is incumbent on Kevin Durand and his deputy, played by Lucas Haas, to save this town, not only from this blinding snowstorm that's coming in, but the evil that has now been unleashed on them. The town has to keep consolidating in on itself until they're all basically in one building, trying to fight off for their life, and they can't run. They can't get right out of town because this blizzard's coming in. There's snow everywhere. Where are you going to escape to? You can't just travel right out of town. So they're trying to survive the winter elements and these monsters that have been unleashed and are descending on them and are very violent, very creepy, and very, very aggressive. And they are an ancient evil. I'm not going to spoil it, but you will know what kind of monster this is eventually. High recommend. I almost never hear anyone talk about this, but it has all the vibes of all the winter monster creepiness, mystery, small town closing in on you as the storms and the winter snows get worse and worse and worse. So do the fates of all those involved. And the question is, how dark is the night, and will they be able to survive it? A very, very high recommend. And that is my list of great snowy winter vibe movies. Hopefully you are keeping warm where you are, and some of these movies will help you enjoy seeing that snowfall outside while you are taking a fun imaginary trip on a ride with one of these films. You can't go wrong with any on this list, and sort of make that whole vibe all come together. But let me know some of your favorite wintertime watches down below. What else would you put on the list? What could have I put on the list? And if you've enjoyed this, we do all kinds of things like this here: lists, rankings, physical media news, individual 4K movie reviews, all of that from a fan and filmmaker's perspective. If that sounds like your jam, then please consider liking and subscribing. It really does help out the channel. If you want to help support the channel even more, make sure you ring that bell so you never miss anything. Share it out there, and you can even join and become a channel member below at my Patreon link or right here on YouTube. Get your name and lights on every single video. Get behind the scenes access to my filmmaking, some of the movies that I've done, special members access videos, and so much more. And it really does help me out. So does clicking on the links from Amazon below. I usually will try to link the movies in my videos, and I keep a running list now of Chase's all-time targets, movies that everyone should have in their collection that never waver. All that stuff is down there below. If you click the Amazon link and go to Amazon, anything you get there helps the channel. And y'all, I really do appreciate it. We are off and running this year, and we have so much to go, so many big things planned, and I cannot wait to share it all with you. But stay warm out there and enjoy those winter vibes on TV. But until next time, be kind, rewind like always. This is Chase with AV Pop Culture, and I'll see you real soon. Bye-bye.